And call this meeting of Fairfield County Council to order, Monday, September 24, 2018, 6 p.m. First item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Seconded.
It's been moved and properly seconded that council do approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda is approved by a vote of 7-0. Invocation, Councilmember Douglas, please.
Dear Lord, please help the council to make the right decisions that we all can agree with. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Douglas. Next is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting, September 10, 2018. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair. Seconded.
It's been moved and properly seconded that council approve the minutes from the regular meeting, September 10, 2018, as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those minutes are approved by a vote of 7-0. No public presentations tonight. First public comment session. Mrs. Davis.
We have 10 who wish to speak tonight. First, Ms. Shirley Green, speaking on government complex.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Shirley Green, District 2. I'm speaking on the Fairfield County government complex. The problem is here, and many of you have varying opinions, but at some particular point in time, we need to really come together and think of what's great for the county and what is affordable. The problem is Fairfield County Council has not set a limit on the amount they are willing to spend on the project in an effort to redevelop Mount Zion property at any cost. Fairfield County is trying to make citizens believe that they won't incur certain costs, namely costs to remediate asbestos and mold in 45,000 square feet of space, and also how to furnish the building and all of the other inherent costs with moving. If you think about moving all of the computers, all of the phones, and all of those kinds of things that will have to go into this building, the cost will be prohibitive. The truth, developers don't undertake projects to lose money. The county will eventually pay the costs in this lease purchase option, costs that will certainly be passed on to the people. The county proposal misleads citizens about the true cost of the project, and that isn't right. The irony is that the same fiscal conservatives that criticized the county for big government spending during the previous county council are asking Fairfield County for a blank check to redevelop Mount Zion property into the Fairfield County government complex at any cost. We need economic development, people. We haven't created jobs. Our people need jobs. Our people need housing. Our people need a whole lot of things. And right now, we really need to focus on what the county needs, and it is jobs. It is economic development. When we lose focus, we are losing a lot of opportunities to really concentrate our funds in a particular manner. So I ask all of you to give the people of that community a chance. Listen to them and listen to the things that they are asking council to do. It is not just one idea. We are all in this together. The taxes that will rise according to the amount of money that we're going to have to pay long term. This building won't be new forever. If we take a look at what we have to pay to maintain this building and we can't do it, just think of doubling that cost to 45,000 square feet and what you're going to have to pay. So let's be mindful of that, and let's make a financial decision instead of an emotional one.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Donnie Laird, speaking on Mount Zion.
Donnie Laird, District 7. Seems like we do have some more questions to answer, and I'm sure you will get that. But I want to thank County Council for having a public forum last Thursday evening and answering all our questions that we submitted. We heard reasons necessary why we need to move and the most cost-effective way. We heard from most of council members their acceptance of what has been proposed and reasons they think it is the best plan. My request and question to council for those that oppose the plan is, what is your plan? I think if you do not agree with what has been discussed in public and executive sessions, let us, the public, know what you suggest. We're all ears. County administrator and some, if not all, council members have spent many hours in addressing all these issues in telephone calls, emails, traveling, looking at examples of buildings, talking with city council. Thanks for all your work. You have a hard job. We are constantly on you about things, but thanks. In executive session tonight, I understand you're going to talk about the movement of the administrative building, so I'm going to ask that you try to get together and present what is your plan. If you don't agree with this plan, what is your plan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Miss Yvette Howard, speaking on Mount Zion.
Good evening, Council. I'm Yvette Howard, a resident of District 7. Council members, what is the truth? So far, ambiguous, evasive, and untrue facts about the Mount Zion project have had an effect, perhaps a desired effect, of causing confusion and division among the people of Fairfield County. This is a tactic that has been used time and time again in the history of not only Fairfield County, but throughout the nation. Just tell us the truth, and let's go from there. From our elected county representatives, we have been told that the county owns the land when they did not, that the agreement between First and Main and the county had been signed when it had not been signed. The proposed monetary cost of the project to the people of Fairfield County means nothing, because Fairfield County Council members will have the ability to pay more with only the vote of county council members. Economic development. There seems to be a main selling point that this project will help economic development in Fairfield County. Will county employees not offer the same services now being offered in their current location? We look to economic development to uplift all citizens of Fairfield County. However, with this proposal, the only thing guaranteed is the rebuilding of Mount Zion at any cost. Many of the people in the county are in need of decent housing. However, that is out of the question for the Mount Zion site because of the agreement made by First and Main in order to receive the property, which they did receive without cost and without competition. Parts of the county are in need of sewage services and better water services for its residents. Why not secure these things? The quality of life here is an issue. Complaints are heard about the fact that when businesses do locate in Fairfield County, workers do not live here because of the housing situation and services that should be provided by the government. Then there is division. Now the county is interested in rehabbing the gymnasium at the old Fairfield High School. They will also be operating a gymnasium at Mount Zion. Why this? Does Winsboro need 2 gymnasiums? What would be the factual result of doing this? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Bill McDonald, speaking on Mount Zion.
I have very few words to impart, so I'll try to make this very short. Mount Zion is our Plymouth Rock. You've all heard of Plymouth Rock, where the Mayflower brought settlers in the Northeast to inhabit that part of the country. Plymouth Rock, is known throughout the world almost. And I'm not trying to say it's a pure analogy, but Mount Zion Institute is our Plymouth Rock. Mount Zion was founded in 1780. The Mount Zion Society was formed in 1777 for the purpose of spreading education throughout the colony. In 1780, it became a boys' school. Classical language was taught, Greek, Latin, and the very dating, the Mayflower landing was in the 1600s. This was in the 1700s. This is something that we feel definitely is hallowed ground. I think that the adaptive use of the Mount Zion Institute will be a proud feather in our cap, and I'm ready to start celebrating with thousands of other people in Fairfield County. I have done an unscientific census of the sentiment, and the sentiment seems to be affirmative vote on Mount Zion being refurbished to be something we'll all be proud of. This town has little quality of life anymore. We don't have a movie theater. You have to go to Columbia to go to a movie. Our best eateries seem to be leaving. We have very little. We used to have a shoe shop here in Winsboro. It's no longer here. We're losing a lot of commerce, but I think that holding on to our shining examples of history is something we need to do, and that's the sentiment that I hear throughout the county, and I'm ready to start celebrating because I feel as if county has the sense and the sentiment to put this thing into work affirmatively. And so I thank you for your votes.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Hayward Banks, speaking on Mount Zion and economic development.
Good evening, Council. I'm not from a certain district. I'm from all the districts in Fairfield County because everyone knows me and I speak to everyone in Fairfield County. The reason why I'm here is about the Mount Zion thing. Everybody, all taxpayers are talking about that. And like Ms. Howard said, you know, it's going to be like a division. And like Ms. Green said, economically, we could do better. Now, we know that Mount Zion is anymore like a residential area. You cannot put a business in a residential area. But then again, my proposal was, you have the mayor's office, all that property there. You could do like Columbia. You could build the whole new facility in that whole area that you have there. And you can make downtown Winterville more economical, bring more people inside this town to do more business for the town. I have people tell me, man, y'all town look dead. Wow, you don't have that. But all the people get speaking to them, they got to come in town, they got to have a place to eat. And for like businesses, I was glad of our senator, how he got that done to keep Element open. He worked hard. He pushed forward to the president to get this done. I'm pretty sure the council had a little hand in helping to do that too. But if council and our government representative can do that for one company, you could do it for another company. Let's stop holding up the businesses that want to come to get in these buildings. Give them great incentives. Give them something they can't refuse. But then again, on the end, tax something to them, they won't leave us stuck either. And thank you.
Next, Miss Jackie Workman, speaking on Mount Zion.
Oh, he started the clock again, Chairman. Oh, no, I don't play that. No, yes, I saw you. Our chairman and our administrator. When I tell you amazed, what an awesome job that you all did last week. I would like to thank you for hosting and responding to the many questions that were submitted. I have only two concerns. Why not let the citizens of Fairfield County vote on the Mount Zion project by referendum? And secondly, I heard, I'm not sure who said this, I think the administrator was talking about grant money, $500,000 grant money that's out there for extending sidewalks and beautification. The question and concern I have, why haven't the council instructed the grants coordinator to pursue the funds 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to enhance the beauty of the Mount Zion community? And as Ms. Green said, quality of life, jobs. We need jobs in Fairfield County. Not only jobs, good paying jobs, where we can have a quality of life. Not a minimum wage job, not even $8. That's not, what is that? If you want a man to be a man, to be able to provide for his family, that's what we're looking at. Just give him anything. That's not going to work. It's going to cause people to start killing and stealing and robbing. And then you're going to want to have prayer. But you should have got off of your rumps, opened your mouths, and did something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Bill Haslett, speaking on Mount Zion.
Good evening, Council. Like to thank the Council, the majority members of the Council, for a positive vote on Mount Zion. The City of Winsboro has, majority of the Council has agreed with the Mount Zion. I grew up in Winsboro. In the 60s and 70s, Winsboro was a booming town for a small town. And it's time to revitalize Winsboro. And one of the great ways to revitalize Winsboro is by redoing Mount Zion. I'm very much in favor of moving Winsboro forward, and I think an investment of $11 million downtown Winsboro will go a long way to revitalizing Winsboro. We will have 100 and some odd 40 or 50 people from the county moving downtown. I think they will frequent the restaurants, a few restaurants that are down there. Matter of fact, I'm sad to say my barbecue restaurant, not mine, but Ernest's barbecue restaurant has had to close up. He lost his wife the other day, which I'm sad to say. He's trying to figure out how he's going to move forward. But I think with Winsboro, with the positive vote of moving the county administrative building downtown, I think it'll be maybe it'll be a shot in the arm to get him to move back and open this place back up. I hope it does. Anyway, market value. I'm an appraiser, as a lot of you know. A lot of people in the neighborhood have said it'll pull the values down. That's the furthest thing from the truth. You've got a vacant building that's infested with rats and bats and everything else. To put $11 million downtown around your property will do nothing but increase your market value. So anybody that says otherwise, they're sadly mistaken. We've got a total cost. People have said, I've heard people say that they're trying to give the county a blank check to write a check. Our council is smarter than that, especially our administrator and our council chairman and the ones voting positive. They're not going to give you a blank check. I can promise you that. They protect the citizens of Fairfield County, and I'm proud of the majority members that have voted for this. They've put a limit in there. And if it's over this limit, I think it's 8.3 million. If it's over that, it's a no-go. So I'm in favor of moving Winsboro forward, bringing Winsboro back to where it needs to be. And I'm very proud of the administrator and the council that has voted for this. And I encourage you to continue on your path. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Jeff Schaefer, speaking on SCE&G.
I don't want you to pull no Jackie Workman number on me. Wait, let's start talking. All right. Wow, thank you. I'm sorry I missed a couple of weeks, and I don't always get to hear everything, but SCE&G, I hear you going to executive session almost every meeting, and then I don't hear what's the outcome? Where are we? What's going on with that? Could you, I go to sleep early, so while I'm still up, can you just give me that information, where we are, where we're going? I appreciate that. I thank Jimmy Ray. I'm going to say it again publicly. Thank you, Jimmy Ray. You have the gonads that few have for calling people out when they're doing the right thing. He is the right guy. Love you. Okay. Before you vote on the construction that everyone's talking about tonight, and the administration building, I thought I'd let you know that having that public meeting was a very good idea. Thank you. Let me give you another one. In the future, as there was said tonight, listen carefully to what the people are telling you. It's not the voice of one person that counts or the voice of many. It's the voices. You have different takes on what's going on. They all have the right to be heard, and they're expecting you to listen real carefully because that's what it's all about. I'd appreciate it if you would be kind enough to allow the peanut gallery here the last word. It's nice for you to say, okay, we're going to call the meeting, we're going to end the meeting, you have the when, the where, and the how, but the dialogue and the comments shouldn't be left short. I'm sure everyone has a comment at the end of the night going, I could have told you something else, but we didn't have that opportunity. And I know Billy's not a pounder of the thing. You'll listen to people when they got it. I made a very good living when I worked, which was a long time ago. And I just used 5 magic words. I'm going to give them to you tonight. Follow up and keep your word. There it is, 5 words. Don't let things go without finishing them and following up on them. And it's as simple as saying, hey, you want to have lunch? And I don't call you for lunch. Then I'm thought of as a chump. And the problem is you guys have said things and haven't followed up on it, and it makes you look like, what's going on? We don't know. That's a problem. We have to resolve that. We've got 50 seconds left. Okay, so I'm going to put this away because all I'm going to tell you is basically we need help, and you need to be expressive to the people and tell them why, what's it going to cost us, because all this money we're going to spend comes from the taxpayers. Someone's paying that bill. Some of us don't want to pay it. Some of us are happy to pay it. Where's the benefit? I mean, we're not going to satisfy everyone at the end of the day. We all know that. But what will be the outcome in 10 or 15 or 20 years from now when we do this? Apparently you want to do this. What's the outcome? Sometime tonight, if you have a chance, please let us know. And that's about all I have from the peanut gallery. My 3 months are up. But thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Jana Childers, speaking on Mount Zion.
Good evening, Council. Jana Childers, District 7. I thank you for having the forum last week. That was a great period for the community. But how can you have an open discussion with the community when we're not allowed to participate? A lot of the questions that were answered raised more questions. For instance, the lease is $525,000 a year for 7 years. Well, after that 7 years is up, it's $3.5 million to purchase the buildings, am I correct? Where's the county getting that $3.7 million? I know some people in the county are behind this. I know most of the community that resides there is not happy with this proposal. How would you feel to have 160 cars plus driving up and down your road no further than I am from the council? That's 160 cars just for visitors and employees that are working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's not including the sheriff's office police vehicles that are there on 24/7. So think about that. Think about the people that actually live there. They don't want this in their community. And although the building being rehabilitated might raise their property prices, the actual traffic and all the chaos that it will bring in won't help the community. It'll drive it back down. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Randy Bright, speaking on SCANA.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. Like Jeff, I applaud you for continuing to keep in the rearview mirror and try to address the injustices that have been inflicted upon us by SCANA. That's good. It's a good step. And like Jeff, I'd like to hear how's progress on that. I realize some of it is executive session stuff, but let's give us what you can. However, we need to, it's good while it's in the rearview mirror to keep an eye on things and hopefully redress what has happened to us by SCANA, but let's also mainly stay focused through the front windshield. That's on SCANA's likely successor, Dominion Energy. Dominion Energy, as you may or may not know, is going around hosting town halls throughout the state. The next one is scheduled in Florence this coming Monday. There's another one later in the week in West Columbia, I believe. A couple of things I ask of you guys. Why not get one scheduled for Fairfield County? We're at ground zero, literally, from the nuclear disaster that's causing Dominion Energy's acquisition attempts. We're at ground zero. Let them hear from the citizens of Fairfield County. Let them explain to the citizens of Fairfield County what their intentions are. Also, you may have already, but you haven't told us, I would anticipate that you guys would be reaching out to Dominion Energy to get your input. These are the guys that's probably going to take over for SCANA. No one else wants them, it looks like. And so you guys should be making inroads, building bridges, and building networking with the dominant business in our area that's going to be taking SCANA's place. Also, I would think that some of you might want to attend, you meaning council, and some of you out there might want to attend the first meeting that's nearby. There was one in Newberry not long ago, too, but it's in Florence again this Monday. You can get the details off of Dominion Energy's Facebook site. I would think that everybody would want to join up with their Facebook site because, again, they're going to be our dominant energy supplier and their dominant industry in our county very soon, most likely. So build the bridges, look forward, and let's start cementing ties with Dominion Energy now. Start attending those meetings and getting a meeting in Fairfield County. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes segment 1.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. We're now down to public hearings. We have one for tonight. It's an ordinance authorizing Fairfield County to accept the conveyance of 2.72 acres, more or less, situated on Old Windmill Road near Ridgeway, South Carolina, in the county of Fairfield, to be used for public safety or other uses deemed fit by county council and other related matters. We'll open this hearing at 6:28 p.m. Do we have anyone signed to speak, Mrs. Davis?
No one signed to speak.
All right. We'll take a vote at this time to close this public hearing again at 6:28 p.m. If we can have a motion to that effect. It's been moved and properly seconded. Council close the public hearing. Those in favor? Those opposed? By a vote of 7-0, that public hearing is closed. We have no ordinances, resolutions, or orders tonight. Board and commission minutes. Chamber of Commerce.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that council approve the most recent Chamber of Commerce minutes sent over by that board. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Those minutes are approved by a vote of 7-0. No board and commission appointments for tonight. No old or new business. County Administrator's report. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, first up tonight we have Mr. Russell Price, our Director of Parks and Recreation Department, to give a presentation to council on the programs and the activities that they have currently going on.
Good evening, Council. First, I'd like to thank y'all for the opportunity to come in and give the overview for our Fairfield County Parks and Recreation Department. And we've got a little slideshow that you can kind of follow with it, and we'll go through it. First person I want to introduce tonight is I got my Deputy Director here, Barbara Mack. Barbara and I, it's a blessing to be able to work with Barbara every day. If you have meetings with me or Barbara, we're usually there and there together. We have 45 years, we're adding it up today, 45 years of recreation experience, and we also have over 60 years of serving Fairfield County, which we both consider it a privilege. And yes, we started right after middle school, so we're a lot younger than what those years add up to be. Currently, parks and facilities. We currently take care and man 13 parks and 3 facilities. You'll see them up there listed. There's 2 that are not up there. One park that is not up there is City Park in Ridgeway. We maintained that several years back. The town of Ridgeway doesn't have a recreation, so Parks and Recreation took it over, and we now take care of the field, lining it, dragging it, scheduling it. All that comes through us, through them. The facility that you don't see up there yet is the Fortune Springs Park Pool. We have taken that over. The final pieces of getting everything inspected before we take over, but we look forward to getting to work on that to make those improvements for the operation to start next spring. Athletic staff. I have gotten our athletic coordinator, Lucas Vance, here. Lucas has been with the department for 4 years. He served as the specialist. We promoted him when I first got here. It was one of the first promotions. I think we started the same day. Lucas does an outstanding job for us, and I've seen our athletic program just really grow. Our athletic specialist is Larry Perry. Larry is a Fairfield County guy. Came through the Parks and Rec system, went off to college, played baseball, was working in manufacturing, and decided he wanted to give back to what he loves, which is sports and kids here in Fairfield County. So we're excited to have Larry on board with us as well. Athletic programs. We'll kind of go through each list right now. Currently, we're in our fall sports. Flag football is 4 to 7. We have football from 8 years old to 12. Soccer runs ages 4 to 7 and 8 to 12. You see the registration dates on there when we take from July to August, and of course the season is now from September to November. Following this, we'll go into our winter sports, which is basketball. We go from ages 4 to 12 in both boys and girls. Sign-ups, registrations will be October and November, and December to March is the season. One thing I do want to talk about in basketball, I've been here a little over 9 months, so basketball was my first season here. We had our numbers increased by 38 participants. We went to 238 participants in basketball. So, you go from 200 to 238. That's a significant increase for a town that's supposed to be going nowhere. So we're excited about that. Spring sports is our baseball and softball program. Once again, our ages are 4 to 12 there. We also started the 13 to 16, or we've done it before, where we play in Newberry, so we play baseball there. Just to give you a little numbers on spring baseball and softball compared to last year, our numbers are up 43 participants there. We had 284 participants play in spring baseball and softball. Just see a couple of our pictures. You've seen some success we had, and you win trophies and all that's good, but that is not our goal. Our goal is to make kids want to come back and have fun and participate, and teach them to be good people. All right, that's the key, and a lot of it is unifying our community when we go and do and play these sports, and I think we're doing a great job there as well. Next, we'll go to our programs, which is a really big program. Cindy Pauley, she has been working with children's and programs for 23 years. So she's a seasoned veteran. She's got a great staff with Marsha Cloud and Aaliyah Miller. Some of our programs consist of our after-school program. In our after-school program, we get 40 kids. We go around picking up kids from various schools to come from 2:30 to 5:30. They also get They receive a meal, a snack, and also the counselors help them with homework, problems they maybe have. Also play games and activities, so that's something that's really good. Dance is every Monday. We just left it when we left the office. We left our little dancers to come here. That's 3 and on up. Excited to say the numbers there. We went from 11 in dance last year to 22. One thing I'd like to note there is we had to go up on our registration fee to get somebody qualified to come to Fairfield County to teach, and we doubled. So you provide a good product, people will come, I believe that. Gymnastics, we have gymnastics every Wednesday. That's also from 3 years of age and on up. We went from 38 last year participating in gymnastics to we're at 59 right now. So a 21 increase in gymnastics. Let me go back real quick. Summer camp. Summer camp is a big time for us. Miss Cindy does a great job. We house about 80 kids from 7:30 to 5:30. We average probably 70 a day, and 2 field trips a week. You're providing them, 3 meals pretty much a day, just 2 field trips. It's a really, really good time. I'm going to show some pictures of what we've done we've been to the Aeronautic Museum in Charlotte. We've been to the State House. And Senator Fanning was gracious enough to meet with us there. We've done a lot of different things. So the trips are really good because some of these kids wouldn't get the exposure to go places. And it's been a really big success. Also back there, we also go to Mr. Sam's. I don't know if y'all, of course, we throw in ice cream with Mr. Sam's as well. So pictures of our dance and gymnastics. Adult exercise. You'll see up there we'll have soul line dancing on Mondays. We have cycling spin on Tuesday along with Zumba. Wednesday is cardio bounce. Thursday we do Zumba again. And then Friday we mix it up, have group resistance or Pilates. And the one thing about the adults, we want to hear from you all. If you've got suggestions and ideas of something that you might want to see, make an appointment. Come see us and talk to us about it because we're always looking to expand. Senior programs. This is during the school year. We don't really have a room during the summer because we're just 80 kids at one facility is kind of tough. But we do bingo twice per month, and we also do field trips twice a month. And Mr. Anderson, October 17th, I'll be at the State Fair with the seniors if you're looking for me. Next up is our maintenance. Very fortunate here. Joe Navarro, he came from up north. He wanted to be closer to his granddaughter and family, and Joe's just a hard worker. He has not been long in his role with the department, but his knowledge and leadership skills has taken us to a different level. So a super great guy. Daryl Brown. Daryl's got over 30 years with the Recreation Department and does an outstanding job keeping the facilities clean for us. You have maintenance specialist Mark Whalen and Paul Keller. You'll see 5 other pictures up there with trustees, and you're probably wondering maybe what that is. We're fortunate that Ms. Lawson provides us with 5 trustees. We could not be able to take care of what all we have to take care of without those 5. I mean, Fairfield County, we might not have a lot, we're scattered. So, and to have 5 trustees be able to come and work, thank you, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Taylor, for letting us be able to get those. Some projects that we just completed this year, infield renovations at your city parks, which is Drawdy Park and Garden Street, which we took over from the town. We got that from those. We also did dugout renovations on all fields, Lake Monticello, Rufus Belton, and also have put bleachers in as well at Drawdy Park. All right, current projects, of course, we talked about earlier, Fortune Spring Park Pool. That's a big project. We're going to take it over and we're going to run it right, and we're going to fix it up and make it something special here in Fairfield County. Once again, any ideas there, come to us. We'd love to hear from you. Tennis courts, renovation of those. When we put out a survey to hear from the people, tennis court, playing tennis was one of the biggest feedbacks we heard. So we put in and got money for that to renovate those, and we're excited about establishing that, not only for the adults, but also to start a kids' youth program. All right. Before we go there, future projects, just to give you a heads up, we'll be renovating fields on the outer now. We are going to be doing Lake Monticello, 34, and Rufus Belton Park, getting those infields up to standards of what we want. Right now, we've done a really good job in the city. Our infields are as good as anywhere around, and we're going to make sure that the surrounding areas around the county will be the same. Also going to improve the press boxes and concessions areas as well at those facilities out there. Once again, we have an open door policy. We love to hear from y'all. Anytime you have questions or ideas, let us know. We love to set up a meeting and hear what you have to say. And now, I just, on behalf of Fairfield County Parks and Recreation, thank you, council, for providing us the needs of what we need to do to make a successful program. So, thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Mr. Pauly?
Mr. Price, thank you and your staff for being here. I appreciate the job that you're doing. I think the parks looks great. And I just got a few questions. What is the current participation fee for our county compared to other counties? And how long has it been that fee?
Okay. Well, I can't answer all that. I can answer what I kind of hearsay. We're at $20, and it's bad. The next lowest one, I think, was Chester at 40. Chester County's at 40. Anywhere else, your Blythewood, Columbia's, Pop Warner's, I mean, it's off. And not only you're only charging $20, you're giving them a pair of pants, and then you're providing helmets and shoulder pads for them. These other places you have to go out, a lot of these other places you have to go out and furnish them yourself. Baseball's the same thing. We're $20 across the board, which is incredibly low. And part of what I spoke on earlier, we raised our our dance $15 to go to $35, and we doubled our participation. It's about your product, what you put out there. If you got something good, somebody's not going to go driving to Blythewood or driving to Newberry or, so I hope that answers your question.
Right. So it would probably definitely benefit the recreation to maybe look at adjusting the participation fee for Fairfield County.
I would think so. And even if it's on the low end, even if you find the lowest other recreation department and just matched it, you'd almost be doubling it. So I do, and I think it's fair because you provide a lot.
Another question I have for you, do you have an open gym any nights during the week where kids can come and participate and play basketball? Or
our open gym is usually Sundays. The problem that we have, we don't have room. We're trying to start something with our adults of providing open spin, open fitness, like when we use our walkers. Our walkers come in from 7:30 to 10, and then from 12 to 2, and then we like to implement something 6 to 8. But then we got to worry about at 6 and 8, come December, our gyms are packed. I mean, we don't have any room.
And last question, the football field, do we currently use it at Geordie Park?
You mean the soccer field?
Well,
no, we are using that upper field now as designated just for soccer.
Okay.
We built a great relationship, inroads back with the school where it hadn't been in a long time. Coach Davis, we're playing our first game. I invite all y'all to come out tomorrow. We'll be playing our games at the high school. They've bought in. They'll be there running the chains. Just bringing back that hometown feel.
Thank you for everything you do.
Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Price, thank you for coming. Let me just say, I can attest to that fee, that Richland County fee when I was there. I think just to pay baseball for my son at the time, I think he was 8, we paid like $135. And you had to supply everything except the jersey. One question I did have for you was, I know the parks look great, actually. I ride by them every day. I had some concerns from citizens. They usually walk in the area. I see on Zion Hill now you do have an open gate where people can enter to walk, to use the field?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are all the fields the same now?
On access to it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, we don't have gates on the other one, so it's just access, yes.
Okay. And the open gym on Sundays, I recently stated, I talked about it earlier because I feel like we should go up on our fees for open gym on Sundays because it pretty much isolates kids from wanting to play basketball. So it kind of leads into some other things I want to talk about as far as us needing another gymnasium, but I'll leave that alone. But
and that's free, not to interrupt. That we don't charge for open gym.
Okay.
Whoever wants to come, they can play. And that's the other thing. We got not only kids wanting to come in and play, we got people blowing up Miss Barber's phone about wanting to do a rental. And, you're in there trying to service the youth and adults of activities, and people want to rent it.
So in a sense, we need more space for us recreation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Member Douglas.
When are we going to go up on the rentals for the recreation center and the gym and places like that, like on Sundays for the church?
Let me just take that one. That's a council decision. So next budget session, be a good time to talk about it.
All right.
I'd support you.
Mrs. Goins.
Good evening. Thank you so much for what you and Ms. Mack do for our youth, our citizens. Just wanted to kind of ask them just a little bit curious. The participation on the west side, you have a lot of youth participation, senior participation in that area. And kind of like, I guess I'm kind of talking at the Greenbrier area. Do you have a lot of youth from that area or seniors that come to the rec center over there from that area?
Well, I'll tell you a lot. Now, we do have bingo twice a month at Lake Monticello, that some people go out there. What you're seeing now is you're not seeing as many numbers in your different areas. So a lot of these folks are wanting to come into Winsboro and get on a draft where they're playing with people the same age, where you're not having to make a team of 12-year-old softball and you're putting a 7-year-old on there. Absolutely. They would rather them come and, do those things. So, I mean, obviously participation.
I was just wondering because if there were people that wanted to participate and maybe didn't have transportation, if maybe we could work out something, especially with the seniors, getting them in, say twice a month to play bingo or something like that, if we could work out something like that, or on field trips when you do that, or maybe getting transportation into those areas to bring them, if that was one of the things, if somehow we could kind of coordinate that. I was just wondering.
We wouldn't want to leave anybody behind. And Luke and I have talked about it, and I told him to make sure in athletics, if there's a kid that has transportation, we need to know. We've got a transit system, if we can't go get them, that can provide service and help there. So far, Luke, have you heard any transportation issues?
Just a few, and most of them
are carpool.
Okay. Again, thank you all so very much. Thank you.
Mr. Roof.
Yeah, just real quick, the numbers increase that you talked about, that's very impressive, and I'm very glad to hear that. And you touched on this, the ball field in Ridgeway. I've had at least one person thought that it couldn't be used now for some reason, but you clarified that whoever uses it for games or practice need to go through the recreation department for scheduling, so there's not conflict.
Right, and I've talked with Mr. Taylor and Mr. Anderson about this. I would love Ridgeway to give us that because it needs. You couldn't play games there right now. Your fence is bad. It's hard to put money into something that we don't have. If we had it, that's a special little field. It's a beautiful place, park. It's a beautiful setting. I'd love to do more with it, but yes, just so we'll know, because you don't want two teams. It's the same thing at Garden Street or at 34. You don't want two teams going out there and trying to practice at the same time, just so we can put it on a schedule. But it's open for everybody.
So we need to
Contact
talk
us.
to Town of Ridgeway to.
Yeah, if you can do
involve
that,
y'all.
if y'all got some pull with Town of Ridgeway,
Yeah.
we'd love that, Phil.
All right, that'd be good. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you. Let me just ask, just so I'm clear, what park are you talking about in Ridgeway? Exactly where is that located at?
We named it City Park. I don't, right across from Charm.
Okay, yeah.
It's got a beautiful playground, and it's,
Okay. Right, back behind all of the new stuff that they put. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, thank you. I just want to say as well, I think the department's been on a great upswing in the past, say, year and a half. So I appreciate
9 months.
9 months. That's right.
Who's counting?
But I'm not, obviously. but it's been on a great upswing, and so I just want to extend appreciation to everybody at the Recreation Department, all the hard work you've done. I think it's been, again, just a great upswing. It's clear, it's evident in the participation rates that have gone up. And let me just suggest that, and I won't be here next year when you guys discuss the budget and the fees and things of that nature, but I think one of the issues with folks in kind of the far reaches of the county, and you say, we don't have a lot of people who call and say something about transportation. And I think a lot of that issue is that folks aren't going to call and ask about it because they know historically we haven't done it. And we haven't had it. So I think they just kind of write it off as something that's not available to them, and I think we should fix that. And so if we could use those, a little bit of an additional fee, we'd still be in line, if not cheaper than anybody else around us to subsidize some of that. If we could get a little bit more money in that would help pay for the fuel and expenses associated with that, I think it would be a good thing. So just want to recommend that. But again, thank you. I appreciate it. And I think your birthday was a couple days ago or something, so.
Today.
Happy birthday. Today, happy
I wouldn't want to
birthday.
spend it any other way.
Well, I'm not going to sing to you, but I appreciate it.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, next item, we're revisiting yet again the local preference, a change to our procurement code to give a 4% preference on items that are under $50,000 to local vendors. We've had this before committee. It's passed committee unanimously. We actually had it before council at the last meeting, but we've failed to take a vote on it. So I do need a vote to move this forward.
Council, as Mr. Taylor discussed, we just talked about this at the last meeting. It was my failure. We didn't vote on it. I was a little tired by the time we got around to it. So if we can have a motion on this, we can move it forward.
Second it.
It's been moved and properly seconded that council make the revisions to the procurement manual as recommended by the Administration and Finance Committee and staff. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? By a vote of 7-0, that change has been made to procurement manual.
The next item I have is a request of action on the purchase of a bulldozer, and I will ask Mr. Jake Gaston from our Public Works to join us at the podium. What we're looking at here, and this again has been to committee, is to purchase a bulldozer using funds from economic development. At the Commerce Center, we cut timber, and it's generated over $200,000, and we're looking to purchase a bulldozer now so we can do a lot of in-house rough grading of the land, which should save us a tremendous amount of money because, again, it's very expensive. Typically, it's $30,000 per acre for us to do the grading on property. If we can purchase this bulldozer, which is something we need anyway, hopefully it will pay for itself. We do have an operator, and Mr. Gaston will go over some of the details as far as we're looking at a used piece of equipment, which would save us a considerable amount of money. We priced out a brand new Caterpillar bulldozer would cost $198,996, almost $200,000. This one's $165,500. We did look at a Komatsu also, which was $182. But Jake, could you speak to the fact that we're buying a used piece of equipment and it still does have a warranty associated with it, and you're comfortable with this piece of equipment?
Yes, sir. Evening, council. So economic development and myself, got together discussing how we can improve, the look, and Commerce also save some funds, some things that we can do in-house also, and help our department out with our current bulldozer 1980 model Caterpillar D6 with a little over 20,000 hours is very limited in what we can do. So economic development, if I'm correct, I think they cut timber, raised a little over $200,000. Some of that went toward some drawings that engineering firm done for us. And so we had some money there. We said if we can get a piece of equipment to where we can do more, have things look a little more presentable, appealing, is that way if industry comes in looking at just a bunch of trees and terrain that's not really accessible, we can kind of do some clearing and grubbing and have that look a little more presentable. And so what we're looking at is it's a 2017 Cat D6, got 850 hours. Like Mr. Taylor said, $165,500, and that includes a 3,000 hour maintenance powertrain, and is also hydraulic warranty. Very good piece of equipment. Like I said, 800 hours on a piece of equipment like this is, practically new. And the amount that we would use it quite often out at the Commerce, but also, just like Mr. Price was stating, the park that's in Ridgeway, we've done some of that work in-house. But it's kind of hard when you have an older piece of equipment. You're limited on the blade, things like that. And so we looked at the new ones and couldn't really afford that, but we're comfortable with what we have here. Our operator is very familiar with the equipment, can also work on the equipment, and so we're thrilled about it. We think it's going to help us not only at the Commerce Center, but also with other projects as we're trying to do more in-house and save the county some money. So should last us, long time. I mean, like I said, the 1980 model we have, it still runs. We can still use it for some things. We looked at possibly trading it in to help with the funds, but $10,000 on a piece of equipment to us it's worth more for us to keep. And so we're planning on keeping that one and having this one as well. So any questions that you have, be glad to answer.
We have a motion first.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that council approve the request of action as approved by Administration and Finance Committee, recommended approval and from staff. Any questions, conversation on this? Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Taylor, did you mention how much we paid for this again and how much was?
The cost that we're looking at is $165,500 on this piece of equipment.
How was it being paid for?
How is it being paid for? I'm sorry, misunderstood. We cut timber at the Commerce Center where we're improving the roads and the water and sewer. We also went ahead and decided to cut the timber. We put out for bid, and we've gotten a little over $200,000 so far, and I think we're expecting about another $25,000 to come in from those timber sales.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to offer appreciation to staff who kind of put this deal together and came up with it. We discussed it in the budget session. Actually came in, I think, and made a little bit more money than we thought we would on the timber value. So appreciate that, and that we're being able to do this at really no direct cost to property tax dollars. So appreciate that very much. Those in favor? Those opposed? By a vote of 7-0, that request of action is approved.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
That's
you
all
all.
I had.
Thank you for your support.
Mr. Taylor, is that all?
That's all I had.
All right, we have no clerk to council's report tonight. Second public comment session, Mrs. Davis.
We have 5 to speak tonight. First, Mr. Ronnie Murphy, speaking on roads.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'm Ronnie from Ridgeway. I don't know what district that is. They kind of mix up there. But anyway, the reason I'm here is the road going in and out of our houses down there. When sometimes people come to see us, they can't drive to our house. They get out of the car and maybe walk 1 block and they come to our house. And then when it comes to big rain, we got pictures. Sometimes in 7, 8 different places, water washes across the road and the ruts are that deep. And that's unacceptable, and this has been going on for years. And I done talked to everybody that I can talk to, and I don't know what else to do. And I hope y'all can help us out with this, because it's been long enough doing this, Thank y'all all.
Thank you.
Next, Ms. Rose Murphy, speaking on roads.
Down on the sheet. All of us is on the same page.
New council, I'm Rose Murphy from Ridgeway, and like my husband said, we kind of confused about what district we're in. Oh, okay. I sent a letter to Mr. Taylor in reference to the situation with our roads, and I asked him to forward a copy to each council member, which I hope y'all all got. And we have, like, I believe it's 62 people living on these roads, and we have elderly people, and we also have quite a few ambulances, comes to, these roads that are washed real bad. And we had one, it had washed so bad, the ambulance couldn't come down to pick the gentleman up and had to turn around and take another road to get into it. And they picked him up, I think, on the 15th, and he passed away on the 19th. And his daughter was very upset, that she couldn't even get down to the road to see her dad before, he got taken to the hospital. And we got Meals on Wheels, which deliver there. We got the transit system. We got handicapped school buses. And it's bad when you can try to come down the road, and if you look at some of the pictures, there's like 6-7 inches deep in gullies where the roads have gotten washed out. And so if there's anything you can do, to help us out with these situations, of trying to get them fixed or whatever, we would greatly appreciate it. Any questions?
Ms. Murphy,
We can't, it's public comment time, we can't ask questions. Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Ms. Peggy Swearingen, speaking on the question is.
Peggy Swearingen, District 3. The question is, there is the question on the table now as to what to do about our current situation of how to repair and upgrade the administration building without spending all of the county's reserves. Per council, our options are very limited. We cannot build a new building. Do we redo Mount Zion, which is causing quite a controversy? Do we redo a vacant building that we would purchase and stop the yearly taxable income from coming into our county? If council votes to continue with Mount Zion, and when the cost exceeds the $8 million cap, what happens then? As reiterated several times at Thursday night's forum on Mount Zion, Fairfield County has no borrowing power. As I have said several times before, we as taxpayers can thank our current District 3 representative and previous council for the pickle situation that we're finding ourselves in. A total of $43 million plus the interest on the GA bonds will easily total out to be $50 million paid back before it is all said and done. $50 million. Can we really wrap our minds around that? That's a pretty boggling amount. Why did the previous council let this happen? How could they have let this happen to Fairfield County? Several reasons come to mind. Maybe first, not reading all of the bond material and not researching what bond information that was given and was not understood. Second, maybe letting the lawyers that were handling this transaction encourage council to vote and pass this bond without fully understanding the consequences. $1.2 million of this $24 million went to issuance cost, which included legal and underwriting fees, etc. All the while, we are borrowing 2 times a year to make the loan payment, and we are accruing more debt. The best way to really explain this situation in simple layman's terms is like a person that has maxed out a credit card, and each month when the new bill comes in, they charge that bill to another card. That's kind of illegal, but that's what Fairfield County is just doing. Absolutely no reasoning with this kind of action. Just think, all of this controversy could so easily have been avoided had previous council done their homework before they voted to put this tax burden on Fairfield County citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Jeff Schaefer speaking on just opinions.
I'm going to go on vacation. You won't be seeing me for a long time. So I'll get it out right now. The bond issue. I hope you have contacted the governor and the attorney general and let them know we were hoodwinked into a bond situation we should have never been involved in. You know, it won't be the end of your election if you actually vote no and say, no, I don't agree. And vote with your conscience instead of the usual go along to get along. That's the voting we see 90% of the time, 100% of the time. I didn't hear anybody tonight say no about anything. It's too often. And the only thing you should ask yourself is, I don't know enough to cast my vote, in which case you should recuse yourself or pull the famous now Jeff Sessions. I can't do it. So that being one part that I wanted to say before. Then I asked you a while ago about electric signs, digital signs, 5 feet by 8 feet, lights up, digital. You can put whatever you want to put into it when you drive by. Why don't we have that in the county? People don't read the newspapers. Nothing local. I mean, we don't. There's not enough information going out there. That's the truth. So if we had 4 or 5 of those signs that cost how much? $4,000, $5,000? And we own them? You could rent them. You could rent them to businesses, to whoever, and publicly put down what's happening. It would be a windfall for the county. Put them on 321, on Salem's Crossroad, on 34, wherever, where people are driving by. And you could even say, hey, Monday night we have a county council meeting. Y'all come on down. But that being said, the last thing I want to say is, got about a minute, recreation. Why are you waiting for a budget time? They need it now. Give it to them. Vote it. We all know it's a good thing. Wasting time. Common sense is the dictator of what should be done, and not policy or procedure when it takes forever to get. This is the government. We grind the people down until they give up. Well, you're looking at 2 people who never give up, and a bunch of us who really care because we're here tonight. Do something. Do something right for us. All of you have been sitting here at one time, and you recognize what goes on. Stop it. And vote with your conscience. In 40 seconds, I'm going to let you think about it while I stand here and let you think.
Next, Mr. Randy Bright speaking on out darn spot.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. Well, there is one thing everybody can agree upon with the Mount Zion project, that it has stimulated a lot of discussion about economic development. And that's a good thing. And everyone agrees, and we've discussed that quite a bit. And as we've heard a couple of weeks ago at the meeting, one of our obstacles has been told by investors for our economic development is our blight. And I think that's known visibly, and it's also obviously known throughout those who would invest in our county, those who would move to our county, those who would build homes so people could move to our county. And it is interesting that many of the projects that were discussed in the last couple of weeks address blight. Mount Zion, Winsboro Sidewalk Project, cleaning up the parks and recreation, and the bulldozer. All things that address this. And I think that's good on your part. However, I'd like to see a more comprehensive anti-blight program so that we can be proud, at least coming down Main Street or Congress Street, showing potential investors in our county. So we can be proud as residents of this county that we're making headway on blight. There's a lot of things that we can do. Many counties have addressed similar situations. They've even put false fronts on downtown buildings. So you've made inroads and talked about inroads. Let's make a real project out of it. And quite frankly, I've got a suggestion that, is, especially coming from me, is a no-no. But if we have to, maybe we have to have an additional 1% penny tax to ensure that we can be a nice, shiny county. Start fixing up downtown Blythewood. And what does a 1% penny tax do? That gets outside people paying our taxes also for us, not just us. Just a thought. I mean, we're in a hole, and we need to swing for the fences, and we know what one obstacle is. We've already made inroads. Let's finish the project, but let's not do it in a piecemeal fashion. Let's finish downtown, move on from there. And if we have to have a good plan, then let's go for the one penny sales tax. Get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes segment 2.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. We're now down to council time. Any council members have anything? Yes, Mr. Douglas.
If I understand this right, is if we have something we want to vote on, even if we all agree and it's a good thing, we're supposed to say nay? I hope not. There's very little asbestos in the school building or auditorium and the gym. The only asbestos at Mount Zion property is in the floor inside the lunchroom, and it's not very big. The forum was a success, and every question was answered, and everyone was told if they needed additional information, get in touch with administration. No one on the council, administration, or First Main has lied about anything. What is the real reason some do not want the Mount Zion project? First and Main and administration explained in detail how grants and tax incentives work. Cost to the county for the administration office at Mount Zion would be $7.3 million, not the total cost of $12.8 million. A new building would cost $13.4 million. An administration building, the one we're in here now, would cost $8.5 million to redo. Walmart, if we did Walmart, it would cost $13.1 million. And if we redid the hospital offices, it'd be $13.2 million. If this office complex is not built, it would probably be years before it'd be torn down, and it'd be an eyesore, even worse, after it deteriorates even more.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Goins.
Good evening. Just wanted to speak to, I'll just say some small things. There was a petition done in the west side about a situation that came up, the monument, and petition done. Small things. I would like for a petition to be done to restructure the Jenkinsville Water Company, that it can be more productive for the west side and to connect with the county. Small things. Broad River Campground. I want to say thank you to Mr. D. Melton for not giving up on that project, for this is the second time it's been a refuge for those evacuees that were in a terrible situation. So I want to thank him for doing that. Small things. The wedding venue in District 4, Miss Wendy Bricewell. Also, she did the same thing, a refuge for evacuees. She offered 4 rooms for free, our full house for those that needed somewhere to go. Sometimes we see so many negative things, we overlook the small things and the great works that are being done and the necessary things that things get better. So just my thoughts on small things that can become big things.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Roof.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a minute about, I had somebody call me today about a misunderstanding. I don't know if this is in the paper incorrectly, about the new fire and EMS building that's going to be on Old Windmill Road at Lake Wateree. And I guess there was a misunderstanding that they would possibly close the fire and EMS at Southeastern, but that is not true. I don't know how this person thought they read that in the paper, but hopefully that's not.
That is incorrect.
Would you?
And we do have Mr. Jason Pope here, if you would like to address that definitively on any effects that the new fire station would have. on the existing fire stations as far as any impact to ISO or service. Again, we want to do nothing to hurt existing service. We want to augment and improve service.
Absolutely.
Jason, would you address that?
Yes, sir. Nowhere, what you just mentioned, has that been a part of the picture.
That's what that's what I always understood, but somebody asked me that today, so.
Yeah, the new building there at the end of Windmill will be, actually, we're going to call it a substation of the current southeastern fire station. We'll eventually have a fire engine and a fire tanker there. And once that gets an ISO rating, it's going to significantly decrease the insurance rates of about 300 homes, if I remember right. That whole southern Interlake Watery, that, I can't remember the road name off the top of my head. But yeah, significant increase, or decrease, excuse me, for their insurance rates. That'll be a big win for us. I think the sheriff is going to, we talked to the sheriff too. It's not going to be an EMS station. That hadn't been in the picture yet. Now that may change with Mr. Tanner. His current EMS substation is co-located with the southeastern station. The plans right now, from what I know with him, are to leave that there. So it'd just be a fire substation. I think we'd be talking to the sheriff about maybe putting a boat or something out there for him so he can have closer access to the lake.
I talked with the EMS, and he said would be a good idea for them to have a place for, like 4th of July or, any vacation time.
Just
And
that-
they wouldn't be there all the time.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because somebody had asked me and I'd never heard anything to that effect.
Me neither.
I wouldn't be in favor of opening a new one and closing an old one. I'd never be in favor of that. So I just want to be sure everybody's clear about that. Thank you.
I'm clear.
Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Chair, just a few things I wanted to address tonight. First, I'm sure everyone received the good information on the element. I'd like to think that myself and Councilman Smith played some part in that DC trip, so I'm kind of thankful for that. Just a few things I want to touch on. The hard part about being a councilman is that people assume or citizens assume that you're not being transparent enough for them, but that's not actually the case. It's things that we're working on now that I can disclose, but if I do, what's the repercussions behind it? What I'm getting at is jobs are going to come here. We just have to wait to disclose information. I'll just leave it at that. We have to wait to disclose information by legalities. So from the outside looking in, it looks like we're not being transparent. So another thing that I'd like to touch bases on is the gym on Fairfield Street. I was one of the catalysts that started that incentive over a year ago. I talked with Mr. Taylor about it. What irritated me was, as you heard, Mr. Price said that on Sundays is our only open gym. But yet you may have John Doe want to get married on that Sunday, so where are the kids going to go? So my thinking was, let's try to do something with Old Fairfield. I started this maybe a little over a year ago, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I would love for the kids to go somewhere in the afternoons, somewhat of a community center, but I don't think that's going to happen. Secondly, as I stated before, a new admin project for, I've had many people that's for it. I've had many people that's against it. Last week we had only 12 people submitted questions out of a count of 23,000. So that's just food for thought. I received a message today, and it kind of concerns me about petitions going around in reference to it. That's your American right to start a petition. I'm all for it, but at least disseminate the correct information that we have up here that's going out, and just don't ask the person to sign a petition. At least tell them what's going on in the petition or what you're fighting for. Hold on, I had to jot down my list, so bear with me. We are open to suggestions. Right now, that's the cheapest thing for us. And we've went over these numbers, and I don't see taxes being raised in this. But if another thing I wanted to read, I received a message today basically targeting myself and another council member to change our decisions. Well, my phone number is 803-402-0211. Please call me so we can have dialect. It's not working right now due to some AT&T difficulties, but please give me a call. I would love to have some dialect, and let's get some correct information out here. We don't need negativity due to false information. We're trying to bring the county together and move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Roof.
Yeah, I had a couple more things. I agree with, at some point, increasing the recreation fees to support the things that we talked about. I think that's an excellent idea. And somebody mentioned, the SCNG updates on executive session. It's there every time. Most of the time, there's no information. So, but I would ask administration to respond to that, but most every time it's here, because if we talk about it, it's got to be on here. So 99% of the time, it's just, we have nothing, but we bring it up, so it's got to be on here. That's transparency, if you want to address that.
That is correct. It's an ongoing lawsuit, and we never know what developments may occur, so we keep it on there as a placeholder, so in case something does occur at the last minute, I have the opportunity to have it on the agenda so I can update council on any updates to the lawsuit that may happen, again, at any given time.
Is there anything that you can pass along that?
Again, this process is painfully slow, and typically, again, it's a placeholder, and again, as Councilman Roof says, the majority of times, I just say it was a placeholder and we have nothing new to report.
Now, let me add to that just real quickly. I think maybe what Mr. Roof's getting at, and it's something that's been reported in the paper now that I've seen, essentially about the judge kind of, so to speak, kicking the can down the road. If you or Mr. Morgan could just provide a little bit of information to citizens, kind of matter-of-factly, about kind of what happened at the last, which again was public. It was in front of anybody who wanted to be there. So if y'all can just provide a little bit of information on that.
Again, I was at the hearing last time, and we showed up, and it's a process where we go to court, we sit there amongst and hear all the other cases also. Our case came up, and the judge indicated that he wanted some time to think about it, so he deferred it till later in the meeting, and then once we got to later in the meeting, and this was basically a hearing on SCNG's request to dismiss the case. They just want to dismiss the case and move forward. The judge said that he did not want to hear that at the time. He wanted to kind of punt, I think was his words, and he actually kind of thought about it openly, thinking out loud, said he would like to make a request to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of South Carolina to assign one judge to all of these cases. He thought that might be a smart move because there's ratepayer cases and of course our case and others that are all before the courts right now. But he thought that might be a good thing to consolidate them. But again, he just said he wanted to defer to another judge at this time if the Supreme Court Justice wouldn't do that, or Supreme Court Chief Justice wouldn't do that because his plate was full.
Yeah, so what I was getting at is we're not wasting a lot of time on this, but we're not giving up either. So that's the bottom line of that. And Mr. Taylor, would you also give an update on the Ridgeway Library status and the District 1 recreation, if you will?
With the library, again, we have leased a building in downtown Ridgeway. I think originally it had been a post office, and I think it's been a number of other things, restaurant, boutique. We have redone the building to a great extent using, again, our own staff in-house, so we have precious little in it. We have a little bit more exterior work to do to make sure that it's ADA handicap accessible and safe as far as the entryway goes, and to correct a little bit of drainage problems. The library director and I met, in fact, today about the project. We're getting bookshelves and such from essentially a warehouse that a lot of libraries contribute unused equipment to. So we're getting that at almost no cost, and we'll have the bookshelves installed hopefully by the end of the week. We've got to rebuild a circulation desk. We built one model. It didn't quite work, but it should be open in no more than 3 weeks, hopefully 2. And on recreation, that's a little bit tougher. We're working through. We know we need a recreation site and to expand what we're offering in Ridgeway. We're looking at working with Mead and Hunt, which is an engineering firm, to do some drawings and such. We really haven't got the drawings to a point where I think they're appropriate for what we need. And again, the cost is a little high, so we're trying to work on those and get it to a point where we have a facility that we could actually afford.
Thank you, Mrs. Goins.
Just one more thing I forgot to mention. After the forum, someone approached me and they were quite upset about my decisions or whatever, but I just want to say thank you to them because they came to me to talk about it rather than, I don't know if they shared it with anybody else or not, but I appreciate that. And that's how we resolve situations and problems. Rather than carrying it somewhere else, go directly. And I have an open door policy, open phone policy, whatever. And I'm willing to talk. Maybe we did not resolve it to their comfort, but the fact that they came to me to talk with me about it, I really appreciate that. And if I said something that in a manner, wording that offended someone, I do want to apologize. I want to let you know when I say something, I'm not here just to be doing something. I am sincere and serious about this county, about the citizens of this county, about progress. And I have sincerity, love, and concern for the citizens. But I want to thank that person and as well apologize if I offended them or someone else in my speaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Goins. Anyone else? All right, at this time, I'll just share a little bit of information. We had one person get up and speak tonight, and I thought really struck a chord about some of the misinformation and things out there about the Mount Zion project. And I think that person's absolutely right. And I just want to clear up one thing that I've heard for some reason over and over again, although I've personally answered the question over and over again, is that we're signing a blank check or we have no cap. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. At this time, we have an $8 million cap in the project. There's somebody who I think in a particular group, and it always happens right around election time, but they're on maybe a misguided, righteous indignation, deceitful yellow brick road, in my opinion, perfectly willing to burn the county down so long as they and their group can rule over the ashes. And I think we need to be cognizant of that. We need to watch out for that and make sure when folks go to the polls on election day that you're taking the time to talk to people and get information on your own. I've put countless hours into speaking to people about this. A lot of those folks have come away and agreed with me. A lot of them have disagreed. But each one of them, and I've appreciated as well, has appreciated the dialogue and the willingness to talk about it. So I just want to be clear that there is a cap, and just to be careful about some of the misinformation that's out there, because there is certainly a lot of it out there. But I guess that's about all I have on that. Well, I will add this. The other thing in the contract is, and we discussed this at the forum, that if we sign the agreement until about April, which is when the company would find out about the financing and the tax credits, our exposure to them at the most would be $175,000. That's what we will have committed, that if we, for whatever reason, pull out of that contract, that deal, before they get that figured out or before construction starts, the most we will have to pay them is $175,000. So what I would challenge is that there's a lot of folks who are running for council right now, some folks who are running for re-election who are opposed. At the end of the day, the biggest exposure you'd have is $175,000. I think a lot of this is campaign rhetoric, this negative stuff out there, so I would challenge the folks and the council today to vote in favor of it when we vote on it. And then, you know, if some of these new folks get on here, folks who are running who I think are really pitching their tent on campaign rhetoric, we would then offer them the chance to look at it, and if they wanted to vote to do away with it and raise property taxes to do something else at that time, that's something they would have the right and privilege to do. And so I would just, I'd like for us to offer them that opportunity. Thank you. We're now down to executive session. We have 3 matters for tonight. We've got a legal matter, update on litigation against SCANA SCE&G in reference to the abandoned VC Summer New nuclear project. Item B is a proposed contractual matter, discussion regarding the development of a new county administration building to better serve the citizens of Fairfield County. And item C is a contractual matter, discussions regarding contractual issues in proposed land conveyance to county, TMS number 134-02-00-000, -008-000. We have a motion going to executive session for those purposes. Those in favor? Those opposed? Vote 7-0 in executive session. Thank you.